to MyStockScanner Live, December 30th. The year is almost complete, but the market still has a few moves left. And these guys, they got moves too. Let's scan today's stocks with quality, upside, and timing. And we do it in the company of Liam Flavel and Hans-Henrik Nielsen. Liam, today we get the minutes from the last Fed meetings. Somebody is trying to make that into a big thing, but isn't that just a nothing burger, basically?
It, some people get really, really excited, but they're quite sad, really, I think. But not really. It gives us an insight into the arguments and the decision making behind the Fed, and that can be quite important from a macro point of view, so that we know what they're thinking into the next set of minutes, and what guided their decisions in this time.
See, Hans-Henrik, he said that we were talking about the minutes and he thought that he was going to talk for a minute, but that's not how it works. But Hans-Henrik, we're going to test you and see how short you can be, because yesterday we had the 3-point playbook portfolio. It sat at 35.5%. We kept that number even with the beating in the mining stocks.
Yes.
Oh, how sweet is that? I'm gonna bring up number of the day straight away then, before I tell what's on the show else, because the number of the day is 0.82 seconds. Okay, let's see who can beat that. On the show today, mining is on fire, or is it breaking down? Silver just got slammed in its biggest one-day drop since 21. Gold went with it, and now the big question is silver gonna catch up to gold, or is the $100 dream already dead? We'll pull up Wheaton Precious Metal in a quick 3-point playbook portfolio chat, or rather analysis, and copper. Well, that bull that sits on Wall Street in New York City, well, it's about to charge back, especially the metal copper, because it's on the longest rally since 2017. We'll take a look at Freeport McMoran. Sector rotation check. Early Tuesday poll numbers are in. We'll take a look at those, because we ask our members, what sectors do you believe in for 26? NVIDIA finally signs the check and handed over to Intel for $5 billion. What does that mean for the future of chips? And what grok suddenly matters? No, it's the other grok. I can tell you that already. Meta just bought Manus, a Singaporean company, an AI startup. Liam Flavel will tell us all about it. Hans-Henrik will do an analysis of green mobility and tell why we're not in it, because it jumped 14% yesterday and it almost jumped the same today, and we're still not in it. There's a reason for it. And then we're going to talk micro strategy or strategy and Bitcoin, and we'll do it all within the next 26 minutes. See, I gave you a minute right there.
I thought we were doing 55 minutes nowadays.
No, that's tomorrow. That's tomorrow.
Oh.
That's tomorrow morning.
55 minutes is so much better.
Yeah, but you'll do that tomorrow morning. We're going to tell about that at the end of the show. But first, you get a silver medal, or at least we're going to talk about silver, because we thought that it was going to go to the moon. We thought it was heading for $100, but then the squeeze came. And Hans-Henrik, yesterday, people start talking about a conspiracy in regards to silver. What's the hoopla all about?
First of all, yes, I talked about $100 in silver, but that was at the end of next year. That was back here 14 days ago when I thought I was clever. But then it almost jumped to $100 now. It was not a real conspiracy yesterday. The thing is that silver is traded in futures on margin. And when things like this happens, when they go completely ballistic, parabolic moves, the exchanges, they raise the margin requirements, meaning you have to have more money on your account to trade a certain number of contracts. That meant that a lot of bull contracts were shot down. So there were some technicalities. It was not all conspiracies. Is the move dead? There's not really anything changed in the bull case. China is stopping exporting basically silver here from the 1st of January, and they still produce less silver than that is used in the industry. So I think it could go on.
Do you think that $100 is within reach? Now, you said it was going to be the end of 26. Are you going to move that marker up a little bit?
Yeah. Well, the thing is that normally when you see moves like this, you often see retracements of sometimes up to 50% of the last move. So the last move up here, if we should look at 50% down from that, we should go down to the mid 60s here. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some sort of $65 at some point. But I would also be surprised if we don't reach $100 next year.
Oh, there we go. There we go. We didn't get the marker set down at any point, but we definitely got a marker. It could be 100. It could be 65. That's a good margin right there. Liam, don't worry that you got a less, should we say, shiny metal. You still get a metal. We'll give you the copper medal today, not because you spoke for a minute about the minutes, but because copper is really making moves. It had the longest rally since 2017. We're going to go back in a minute to Hans-Henrik, but I'll let you and show Wheaton precious metal. But first, I want to hear about copper. What's going on with it?
Well, to be honest, I think the danger is if we go back to Hans-Henrik, he's going to show more Fibonacci's or maybe a few Gann waves or something like that. So it's yeah.
Well, there's rules in this show. We don't. There are things we don't talk about. Brunello.
Yeah,
Brunelli
exactly. Thank you very much.
Fibonacci is another one.
Copper, yes, yeah, it's not been on a bad move, has it? I mean, from August, the low, sort of, recent low, I suppose, 35% up. Why is that? There's going to be some speculation in there, but mainly it's going to be the huge build out of AI, of power generally, and so on and so forth. We talked about it a lot on this program and in the blogs that we do. So that's what's really driving the silver market. If we look at a stock very quickly, that's an obvious one. We've had it as stock of the day a couple of times, I think once last year and once this year recently. And we can see from a 3-point playbook point of view, we literally have a very high quality company. Earnings took a dive during COVID and then are starting to build up again. These are the analyst estimates, the golden ones. And the PEG ratio at 2 is below, it's still in the green zone. It's sort of a little bit higher than we'd want. Everything else looks pretty good. You've got red on the return on equity. These are sort of measure how efficiently the company sort of uses the money that we invest into it. And the free cash flow is dark green. It's starting to build up again. So that allows them to do things either to invest in new mines or to give money back to the shareholders. And we haven't got too much of a debt problem there. On the valuation side of things, this is where things get a little bit sticky on here. If you look now, it looks like it's in the green zone, which is where the top, where we try not to invest at this level because it's quite high. Typically, at that green level, it's the very highest level. The low levels are quite low, are quite a way away as well. So generally, we'd prefer not to actually invest at this time. However, that increase in analyst estimates means that there is some quite good upside from right now. So it could be that we just, you could potentially jump into this now.
See, that was the copper play. That was Freeport McMoran that we took a look at. The ticker is FCX. Hans-Henrik, I'm going to bring you back in again because we want to see Wheaton precious metal along just because it's precious. Does it have a better upside than copper does?
Yeah, well, if we look at it, Wheaton is basically a silver play. It used to be called a Wheaton Silver Corp or something like that. So that is a lot of silver. They do have gold as well, but it is a good quality. Earnings per share have been waning a bit here, but is set to explode both this year and next year. Very low PEG ratio, revenue going up. Analyst loves it. They are raising the expectations to the earnings per share. They have reasonable return on capital. It's basically just a rock solid company, really good quality. On the valuation part here, we can play a bit around with where we want to put the different PE ratios here. I would put them somewhere here, and that is because they align with the PE they have been sold to earlier on here. But it's always right now that is between 32 and 50. Is that too high for a mining company? Depends a bit on what you expect from the growth. But if we do this, there is a very nice upside to it here over the next couple of years. Looking at this year, you could say that it has just broken above a big top area here. We were talking about, the three of us just the other day, if we should buy it, but wanted to wait to see what happened to silver yesterday. And that was a good thing we waited. Be aware there's no earnings here on the 1st of January. There's something TradingView have put in here. I'm not sure why. Wheaton has taken some stretch up here, but that should not stop us from buying it if we think it's fairly cheap. I think Wheaton could be a very interesting buy, maybe not on this side of New Year, but sometime soon.
Okay, let me just play quick back to Liam before we go for the Tuesday poll. Liam, we talked about timing in Wheaton here. How's the timing on copper? Is that now or isn't that now? If we look at the MTI, because you didn't get to the third point in the playbook.
I didn't get there, and you're basically telling me off, aren't you? Yeah, of course you are. You always tell me off. You told me to behave every day.
What's the reason for it?
Yeah, no, that is true. The timing's good on this one. There's nothing wrong with 0.3 on here. You can see the two MTIs we've got, the daily series and the weekly series, are good. At the moment, it's looking like it's going to be green next week as well. This is this sort of next week projection. It dropped a bit last night, 3% or so, along with all the other precious metals. But yeah, it's well above its 50 and 200 day. It looks good.
It looks really good. And what also looks good is when we ask our members for advice. And on the Tuesday poll, we always ask them a testing little question. And this time, no different. We ask them to looking into the future and talk about sector rotations, in that sense that what sectors are going to be big next year. Hans-Henrik, you have already taken a look into the early numbers, because the sort of voting started on our Facebook pages, and we have 3 of them. So 3 different forums to go in and vote on. And what are the early
First
numbers?
of all, what we asked was basically what sector will do best, or what sectors. People can choose several. And since there are a lot of beginners and a lot of members that are not as nerdy as us, sitting looking at sectors all day, we just explain quickly what are the different sectors and a couple of examples of stocks that were in these sectors. In Aktiesnack, this one that is our broad group with almost 60,000 members, we can see that the majority is actually believing that informational technology will be the winner next year. Then there's some healthcare and industrials. These are the top 3, some financials as well. If we look into the MyStockScanner, but the open group, there's also a belief in tech, but the majority is actually on healthcare and energy. I suspect energy because data centers will need a lot of energy. Then into our own group, the members group, we can see that in here we have materials. In there's also a lot of chemicals that is showing some very good signs right now. There are the utilities, electricity and water, industrials and healthcare. So the tech is not that conservative, but the others are a bit of a sign of a bit more conservative approach in the market.
Interesting that the tech is in the broader group still the big thing in the big kahuna. And that brings us to the next thing on the show today, and that is Meta and NVIDIA. And the reason why those 2 names come up, apart from them being huge companies, is that NVIDIA finally signed a check over to Intel, $5 billion. They invested them, but they also grabbed up Grok, and it's not the Grok that we normally talk about. And Meta bought Manus, a company that's situated in Singapore. Liam Flavel, normally we do Thursday tech. We'll do Tuesday tech. And then let's hear all about it. What's the deal? The thing is that it's old news with NVIDIA and Intel, but Grok?
Yeah. I mean, the NVIDIA and Intel is sort of the most boring piece of journalism I can think of. It's just something happened 3 months ago. Great. But they have actually signed the deal and handed the money over. The Grok buyout was an interesting one. I've been looking at NVIDIA, and actually, I've always said it's one of my favorite companies anyway. They have secured, there's something called COTOS. Can't remember what it stands for right now, but it's basically the way the new silicon goes onto the power board into these big servers. They Taiwan Semiconductors, who make everything here for NVIDIA, actually have come up with this new way of doing it, which is this COTOS system. NVIDIA have actually booked 60-70% of the capacity for generating this stuff for the next 2 years. So anyone who wants a powerful set of AI servers, they've got to go to NVIDIA. There's not much, not much point going anywhere else. So that's an interesting one. The Grok side of things, it's run by a couple of guys who designed the TPUs for Google. So they've been in the news recently. Google are doing mostly their own thing. They're still using NVIDIA kit, but they are using a lot of their own TPUs as well. And these guys they've not actually bought the company. They bought a licensing deal to the company and basically stolen a load of their staff and expertise to come in. So NVIDIA is a good one. Meta is an interesting one. Meta have been on a bit of a spree. We just sort of go onto their share my screen very quickly. We can see, I mean, Meta 3-point playbook, point one, everyone knows is a really high quality company. Don't actually know, I haven't got a pick ratio in there, but I'll check that one out. But yeah, 99 quality. Earnings is dropping down this year slightly and then going back up, which is probably why the peg ratio is not coming in. Everything else is green in there. From a valuation point of view, I mentioned a couple of weeks ago that actually I wouldn't be too surprised if Meta is a winner for next year, because basically it's done its drop this year. It's invested an awful lot into AI and AI personnel, and is starting to potentially shoot back up according to the analysts. So this is what I spotted a few weeks ago. It seemed to be quite a good position. At the moment, we're just hovering around the 50. I would really want to see it go up and then pop back down again, testing out the 200 and the 50 and then go back up. What Meta have done, though, is effectively they have bought a company called Manus. Manus make AI agents. Everyone decided in the tech industry a year ago, AI agents or LLMs, the chatbots that we use, are really boring. So what we'll do, we'll design something called agents instead, which are lots of little processes that go around and do things. Think of it like a marketing team. You've got the marketing director at the top with his feet on the desk shouting at people, telling them what to do. That's the orchestrator agent, which tells, organizes everything. Then you've got the minions underneath that go out and do individual jobs and are part of a bigger process that goes on. That's effectively what agents do. And Manus are one of the forefront of these guys. What's happened, though, is there are so many agents, no one can control them. So that's where the tech has sort of started to really hit some problems. And that's what people think is going to change next year, where they're going to get a bit more of a handle on them.
So definitely a play for the future again for Meta in this situation.
Definitely.
A stock that we have, or at least I had my eye on the Danish market, but I couldn't really wrap my head around, especially when I used the 3-point playbook. And that's green mobility. Maybe it's also because I see the cars everywhere in Copenhagen that they are sort of a robotaxi without the chauffeur. Of course, robotaxis don't have a chauffeur, but you're the chauffeur yourself. Hans-Henrik, it jumped 14% yesterday. I think that it's jumped like double digits many times. Why are we not in it?
Why she got roller skates? Surely she's going to get in the car.
Yeah, it's because it ran out of power, I think. I live out. I'm not living anywhere near Copenhagen and Aarhus, so I basically never see them. But it is a big thing. It is electrical vehicles, and it is this taxi equivalent kind of thing. Why are we not in it? First of all, some of our members are, and a couple of them wrote us and said that they didn't care too much about fundamentals. They just used our platform for the technical part, and they are using the two MTIs, our trend indicators. When they are double green, they wait for a good trend, a little retracement to the 20 daily moving average here, and then a good bounce up with volume. And one of our members got in here, and he got in here. So he's been quite happy. He's not looking at the fundamentals like we are. He only looks at the chart, and he made several 100% here. So that was a good thing. Why we are not in it, we can see that here, because they're not making money. They probably will at sometimes, maybe, we don't know. They are underwater. The free cash flow is just barely turning positive here. They are fairly okay in solidity, but we can't do anything from the value chart, because when they're not making money and we use earnings per share multiplied by price earning, well, there is no price earning when there's no earning, and we can't multiply with anything. So stocks like this we never get into, because we want that freight train moving forwards, making more and more money every single year. So it's a no thank you from us here. It might go to 500 and we are not in it, but that is that's the rules we follow.
Okay, but then we have a theme because there's another stock we're not in, and that's strategy or micro strategy. But they are heavy into Bitcoin. Basically, they're what they call themselves a treasury. Liam, what's happening with strategy in that sense that it seems like they're selling their own stocks, buying Bitcoin, which forced down the share price, and they are really bottoming out right now.
Yes, they are. They're. I haven't actually got it up on the. I don't know if you've got it up on your system, Hans, but
Oh yes, I just put
yeah, weird that, isn't it? But basically, they invest in Bitcoin, and they exist basically by Bitcoin going up in value. So it dropping down has been a bit of an issue. We looked at it a few months ago and decided it wasn't really a systemic risk to the industry. So we've sort of, yeah, we come back and take the mickey a few times and point and laugh at it more recently. But effectively, the drop in Bitcoin by 30% or so this year has caused some major problems. It means I think their average buying price for Bitcoin is around $70, just a touch.
$75,000.
Yeah. Sorry, 75,000. So if the Bitcoin drops below that, then it means the value that's on their books is obviously, they're obviously operating at a loss there. What they're doing is, while they're doing that, they're doing what we all call dollar cost averaging and just going in there and buying cheaper and cheaper Bitcoin. It will be very interesting. Bitcoin every 3 or 4 years has a tendency of dropping 80%. And it's done that for quite a few years now. So at some stage it will drop by 80%, and someone will be left holding the Bitcoin baby, and it could be these guys. In which case they'll go bang. A load of silly money that's invested in them will probably go bang at the same time, and we'll just all get on with our lives.
Yeah,
Is that interesting to me?
If I may add here, the website I'm looking at here is called the sailortracker.com. That is because the CEO is called Michael Saylor, and he is famous for saying that this cannot go wrong because Bitcoin will always rise in price in the long term, which sounds like the famous last word before someone gets killed in an Agatha Christie movie or something like that. It's someone saying that this is a good deal because things can only go up forever. Is even naive, lying, or doesn't know what they're talking about, to be honest.
Could I just ask, how did you find sailortracker.com? Is it some sort of grinder, sort of nautical thing, or?
Yeah, well, that's a good point.
While you guys talk about that, I'll bring you back in. I'll bring you back into the show here. Please come into the show again, because among all the headlines that are at year's end is always predictions about next year, and every Wall Street analyst now predicts a stock rally in 26. Liam, your take on that?
To be honest, they've been right for the last 4 or 5 years, haven't they? Yeah, we had probably 3 or 4 years. I mean, the AI bubble is driving this, so we don't see any signs of it abating at the moment, because all the hyperscalers are saying, yes, we're still going to spend $100 billion each on this, and yes, there's $1.5–2 trillion of investment going into AI for next year. That's what's carrying this, and if it carries on, yeah, why not? Yeah, it can go up, definitely.
Hans-Henrik, what do you say?
Yeah, one thing we should recall is that they are shifting position. So at the beginning of this year, they thought something like 8 to 10%. Then came Liberation Day, and all of a sudden they thought the year would end in a negative. And now it's up in US by 15%. And the dollar's down, of course. So right now, if I should look at this, I would tend to agree with these guys. I believe in a fairly good year, unless there comes a rock pull, and then I think these guys are too optimistic, because there are some potential triggers. I'm making a little my Sunday wrap up. I'm publishing that for everyone next Sunday here, where I'm going to have a look at what sort of disruptors could come in next year. Not necessarily that they do, but what are the warning signs we should be looking for? There are something with Japan. There's some different things that could rock the boat. If they don't come in, we've talked about this 100 times. Trump have pushed a lot of liquidity into the market, bank deregulations, tax cuts, all that. These money needs to live somewhere, and they live best in the stock market.
Well. That wasn't a 100-meter dash for sure, but we got around to it, and it's going to be a weekend wrap on Sunday from Hans-Henrik. The three of us, are going to be on tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. That's where we have the premiere of the final scan, a full hour where we look back at 25, but we also look forward to 26. You can find that on our platform, and of course, you can find them on all our social medias as well. And guys, I have to introduce you to somebody. This guy, he's not around anymore. His name is Charlie Paddock. He won the 100-meter dash back in 21, not 19 or not 2021, but in 1921. And he did it by running the 100-meter dash in 10.4 seconds. See, that's 105 years ago, almost to the date. And now, those many years later, the human have made it 0.82 seconds faster to run the 100-meter dash. Let's bring up the picture again, because the interesting thing is, if you look at his shoes, those are leather shoes. They have iron things underneath, iron spikes. It's a dirt track that he's running on. He's not running in super fit clothing. He didn't practice for as long as they did nowadays. Guys, we talk about time moving fast. The human didn't move that fast over 100 years. So that's number of the day for you right there. And then remember, as we said, tomorrow, and we can give a little bit of a preview of what we are talking about tomorrow. Everybody loves Novo. Liam loves Nvidia. That's no secret. Hans-Henrik's fave stock of 25 was a German one. And we talk a lot about gold. We're at the end of the show for today. You guys have been amazing in regards to handing out your knowledge, letting me ask all the stupid questions, making not only me wiser, but hopefully also some of the people who are watching. Any New Year's resolutions, Liam?
That's a very difficult one. Try and speed up the development process, I think, is the most important thing. Yeah, we're two of us now, so getting some solid stuff going out and getting the stock map out is the big thing. That's my New Year's resolution.
That's New Year's resolution number one. Hans-Henrik, yours?
Yeah, I'll keep complaining about the developing time.
Yeah.
That sounds really good. As it is our English show and it's on every Tuesday and Thursday, that means that Liam will be back on Tuesday in the new year at 1 o'clock. Hans-Henrik and I will be back on Friday in Danish at 12 o'clock because January 2nd and the market are open again. It's a half-day market tomorrow in the US. Denmark is closed for the day. That's how it is. We want to wish all of you, and that it means all of us wants to wish all of you, and that also counts as Jesper Brunholm, who is our mentor out in the groups, out in Facebook groups, where he answers a lot of questions, especially around New Year's in regards to taxes and what have you. And he also helps out a lot on the marketing side. So thank you to Brunholm, but he also sends his best wishes to all our members and all of our viewers. And also Albert, who does the small videos that we see here in our show, wants to wish everybody a happy new year. We will be back for the Danish edition on January 2nd, and markets come to life in 26. Thanks for being part of the journey. Stay disciplined, stay focused, and we'll always have quality, upside, and timing in our mind. Happy New Year, guys. See you next year.